Good morning, Copers. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. How are you doing? It is Monday, April 6th, 2026, and the content drought continues. There is literally nothing happening ever. We had a whole weekend to refresh for me to have something to talk about, and it is slim pickings. I can't believe this, but we're actually going to talk a little bit about Nate Silver's ex influencer graphic because there's like nothing to talk about. I saw a clip this morning as I was getting ready of Nick saying this. Nick was complaining about how there's nothing to talk about, and it's true. Take it from somebody who looks for things to talk about. There is nothing out there. I've looked. How are you guys doing? Quick announcement, couple quick announcements. The progress report, most probably returning on Wednesday with most probably woman propaganda, aka what's his name? Hadrian McDougal? Or is it Hayden? Why don't I always want to like say his name is
The Nutter
Hadrian?
sent $3. I saw John Doyle in thumbnail. He couldn't even manage to bust a nut in Militina Savannah Hernandez. He is ashamed to nut busters everywhere.
Thank you. Hayden McDougal. Yeah. I think he's going to make it this time, but I still don't know who the other person is going to be. Man, it was a crazy busy weekend because I was trying to get YCSP done, which is always kind of time intensive. But then it's also Easter, so it's like we're trying to do an Easter egg hunt with the kids, and have Easter brunch with the family, and go to church and all that. Oh, I did go to church. There was like some new. I learned some new stuff about the church drama gossip. I don't know how many of you guys are up to date on what's been going on? Where like our lead pastor he's been put on investigation. He's being investigated by the what is it called? Like the Council of God or something. There's some like third party independent thing. I forget what it's not the council. I forget. It's something like that. And because he had like allegedly been having an affair and sending dick pics, and his sister was like a convicted pedophile, or she had inappropriate relationships with her underage female students. I guess they were like teenagers, so I guess technically it's a femophilia. Technically it's just stat rape or whatever. And then she was like living at the church, and nobody knew she was a convicted sex offender. And what was the one other thing?
Sir, the Mistrick sent $5 on Rumble. Your Easter family photo was beautiful, dude. Hoping all copers had a great weekend. Cheers.
Thank you for the 5. Appreciate it. Yeah, Allison does not like it when I post her picture, but people are mostly nice. You know, we got like 95% nice comments. There's just then you got a few trolls with 0 followers. You got to just learn to ignore those people. Jack Posobiec said, wished me a happy Easter. Didn't expect that. Yeah, I'm very blessed. I'm very grateful. I love my normal life. I love the fact that like when we have holidays here, not to brag or anything, but like it's a bunch of family. The women cook all the food and everybody's just like hanging around the house. Of course, I'm up in my coom hovel doing YCSP for most of the day, unfortunately, but I like just even going down there for the meal part. I love that energy, the kids running around causing trouble. I just love my normal life. It's all I ever wanted, and I'm really like grateful. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, and he had been divorced before his current marriage, and he didn't divulge that when they hired him to be the lead pastor. So that's all the stuff I had already shared. And then, but what I learned new was like apparently what happened was there was 3 families who are members of the church, and they're like power couples. They're big donators. They're big, like powerful, influential people. I don't know who they are. Or that Adam Green. Is it gonna say something? Adam Green, from Adam Green, that hunting Easter eggs is actually a pagan ritual. I mean, there could be like foundation in that. A lot of like they say that about like the Christmas tree comes from, right, the Yule tide. The Yule is like a pagan. I don't know. There could be some truth to that. Whatever. That just goes to show how white Christianity is. You know. Oh, all the Christian like traditions and holidays are influenced by what existed in Europe before Christianity. Gee, that kind of seems like Christianity is white when you put it that way. But anyway, not to get sidetracked. So you got these 3 families, and they were all like friends, and they had a falling out. One of the families did something, I don't know what, but it upset the other 2 families. And so these other 2 like power couple families went to Luke. I guess this was like a couple months ago, and they said, we want you to kick these guys out of the church. And these guys are like big donors. And Luke was like, I'm not kicking them out of the church. Again, I don't know what exactly they did, but this is what I heard. And so then when Luke refused, that's the pastor, refused to kick them out, these power family, they said, we're taking this church down. So now, and what's funny is when the allegations went out that he was sending dick pics, I guess his defense, all of this stuff is allegedly, but his defense was that he was hacked. He said he got hacked. And maybe they did hack him. I don't know. Maybe these powerful rich people hired hackers to get his dick pics, and that's how they took down the church. But anyway, so that's the update on all that. The new pastor guy he's not like the official head pastor, but people think they're like trialing him, and he did the Easter service, and I thought he was okay, but I don't know. It's just kind of, I don't know. I want to get out of that church. I want to go to a new church. Anyway, sorry. That's enough about church talk. Sorry. That's not what we're here to do. So what do we say? We got YCSP, we got progress report on Wednesday with woman propaganda. And also my other official announcement, which has nothing to do with me really, but it seems like Cozy is completely shuttered officially. It hasn't been working for like a couple months, give or take. So it's hardly surprising. It seems like they were done with it. Nick and whoever, America First. The website now redirects to americafirst.plus, which is Nick's personal site where he hosts all his content, and they sell their merch and their membership and stuff like that. So end of an era for Cozy. A little bit sad. I don't get to do the
Power couple from your church sent $3. Hey LP, you are flying a little too close to the sun. I'd suggest you quit speaking about our doings in the church.
Well, you know what's funny is I was thinking like, because when I heard that story, I was like, wow, rich people can just ruin anyone. And then I was thinking, but what would they do to me? This is, you know, people don't believe me when I say this, but I'm like clean as a whistle, you know. I should be careful what I wish for, but yeah, Cozy, you could listen to with your phone screen turned off if you were a poor person. YouTube doesn't let you do that. I don't know does Rumble let you do that without premium? I kind of think it does, but I have Rumble Premium, so I'm not sure. Anyway, I will miss the stickers. I will miss my Cozy sticker collection. I have to get it going on Crusaders because they have the same kind of system, but the problem also is that Crusaders stickers don't show up in the Vampire Frog Live Joiner widget So I'll have to hound him about trying to get that to work as I rebuild my sticker collection over on Crusaders. I needed Vampire Frog to make it so that the stickers work and the images don't. And then I can give people VIP on Crusaders and just not have the images show up on YouTube. Anyway, let's get into the news. What little news we do have. They don't? No, they don't. Look, are you there, Vet? Look, so I'll do one right now. I'll post one right now. It shows like the code thing. See? It says LP original G IDB LT, which is of course it do be like that. I heard LP and Corey Mahler defending the faith against Adam Green and TT. Rumble lets you do that, but it isn't very smooth. Thank you, Thorn. You know, I've been meaning to make like a video that's like a recap of that stream and just my thoughts on the whole pagan thing. And like all the pieces are there for like making a good video. I just have to do it. Anyway. Yeah, I have a list of things like that, Vampire Frog, but I'm not giving you my list because the only thing I actually care about is the video player widget, the music request widget, getting that working. That's all I care about. Once that's working, then I have like 5 other things I want. Okay. Yeah, but while we're talking about a Vampire Frog, if you could make the stickers work, but have it so that when people post images, those don't work, that would be ideal for me, because I can't have those freaks over on Crusaders. Are any of them watching? 5? There's 5 of them. I can't have those freaks getting my YouTube channel banned. I can't have those Nazi freaks getting me demonetized. I'm just kidding, guys. I love you. It's just a jokes. It's just jokes. But I can't actually have a whole bunch of swastikas and God knows what else showing up in the chat, okay? On YouTube. Please and thank you. All right. Where are we? If you were here on Friday, we were talking about drummers a little bit, and I was talking about my favorite drummers, and somebody said, what about Neil Peart? And I was like, oh, I don't really listen to Rush. I don't really know. I don't really have an informed opinion on Rush, to be totally honest. And then I just happened to see this today. Did you know Rush has a woman drummer? Needs more drums in her kit. Not enough drums. That's my first observation. Not enough cymbals. And she needs to take out the nose ring. Wood. Oh dear. Okay, let's get into the actual news. Donald Trump on Easter Sunday tweeted out, Tuesday, that's tomorrow, Tuesday will be Power Plant Day and Bridge Day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the fucking straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. President Donald Trump. Dude, praise be to Allah on Easter is crazy. I get he's saying it sarcastically or whatever, but still. And you know, the worst thing about this, if we're being honest, if I'm just giving my opinion, the worst thing about this tweet might be the apostrophe on fucking. Instead of just saying fucking. He's starting to sound like You're starting to sound like Ron Perlman making fun of himself. You know, hey, Haas, open the fucking straight.
Pastor Luke sent $20 allow
/LP original G. Oh yeah, it does. It goes to wow, that's cool. That's a nice they made my cozy channel go to my website. I didn't even notice that. When I opened it, it actually, what I saw was like a 404 error. User doesn't exist. And I had that little flash of panic of like, oh shit, did Nick ban me? Am I on the shit list? Did something go wrong? Did he watch one of my videos where I critique? When I critique Nick, like the whole, like when he said the immigration issue is over, I made that video. I always worry Nick is going to like unfollow me and be like, fuck this guy. But it's like, what am I supposed to do, man? Do you know how many, when I talk about Nick's takes, do you know how many views it gets compared to when I talk about Bronze Age perverts takes? It gets like triple the views. Like, what am I supposed to do? I need content too, nigga. I need content too, Nick. What am I supposed to do? Never talk about you? And I can't just sit there and glaze. That would be unbecoming. So don't take it. Look, man, don't take it personally. Anyway, I had that flash of panic and then I remembered the website's been dead forever. Is Cozy gonna resurrect? Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe it's all a big Easter meme. Okay, yeah. Open the fucking straight, Hoss. Okay, so we'll see tomorrow, I guess. Trump is threatening hellfire and violence on Iran. And Nick said that Trump is a sick and delusional person. Speaking of Nick.
Trump is delusional. Okay? You need to know this. Trump is sick. He is a delusional...
Pastor Luke sent $3. Don drew me out of my $20. We're getting to the good part of the song.
Well, you should have... If you sent $10 on Friday, you would have got 2.5 minutes.
Person.
Also, you guys got to learn how to use the timestamps in such situations.
I don't know if it's his age. I don't know if it's his personality. I don't know if it's because he's been in this reality distortion field for so long. But I know firsthand from people that talk to the president, from people that know the president, this guy is delusional. Trump.
Sources familiar with his thinking saying he's delusional. And Trump has a message for Americans who do not support the war. They are foolish.
What do you say to Americans who are not a fan of the war?
They're foolish.
We'll see what happens. So I honestly kind of thought, because I haven't been paying super close attention to the war, but it seems like not much has been happening. And my impression was kind of like, I think Trump's strategy at this point might be to just like stop prosecuting the war without saying anything. Like basically like not admit defeat and failure and say that they're ending the war and that, but just like kind of stop talking about it and stop doing anything. But then he puts that tweet out where he's like, we're going to blow up your power plants. Which, is that a war crime? What does the law say? Is that against the law? Hey, Grocker, is there, when it comes to wars and international law, is there any rules around blowing up power plants?
Yeah, good question. There are rules, but they get messy fast. Yeah, there are rules. It's not a free-for-all. Under international humanitarian law, like the Geneva Conventions, power plants count as civilian objects, so you can't just blow them up on purpose. They're protected unless they're being used for military stuff, like powering enemy troops or weapon systems. Even then, you gotta follow 3 big things: distinction, Hit only legit military targets. Proportionality. Don't call...
Blah, blah, blah. How would the power plants not be being used by the military? Like what? They have their own separate military power plants? Anyway, let's see what he says here.
Because the war is about one thing. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Had we not broken the Barack Hussein-Obama agreement, you know what I'm talking about, the Iran nuclear deal. This is years ago, my first term. You would have had a total, Israel would have been gone, extinguished. Israel would have been wiped off the face of the earth. And
Trump, I'm already upset and disappointed with you. You don't have to make it worse. You know, if it wasn't for me, Israel would have been wiped off the face of the earth. Hey, you know you're the president of America, right? You know this is America, not Israel.
The entire Middle East would have been, at a minimum, in big trouble. But
why did a jazz band kick in at the end there? Okay, and that brings us to John Doyle. Keith Woods posted this interesting little thread showing how John Doyle's views on Iran have evolved over the last year. Now, I want to say something here because I've always been a fan of John Doyle. I like him as a person, and I like his content. And I know that the Groypers hate him, and Nick doesn't like him. And I've always kind of my assumption whenever I see that kind of stuff without knowing all the details and that is I'm like, oh, this is just interpersonal drama. Nick and John had a falling out for whatever reason. It's not really my business. I give everybody the benefit of the doubt and I don't take sides kind of thing, you know? And I know John is a hardcore Trump loyalist. And I don't mind that because I like to hear different opinions. I like to hear people offer a counter narrative and try to make their case and all that. So I've never been a hater, but when you just flip-flop on something, it does sort of with no reason other than just this is the narrative I'm sticking to, that does start to speak to your integrity. I thought this looks really bad, this thread that we're about to watch, the contrast here. And it kind of speaks to that whole, when it comes to Nick, people always say you've been kicked out of 109 friendships and and it's a lot of these people, they end up showing at a certain point oh, there is something kind of weaselly happening here. I hate to say it because I said, it's I like John. He seems like a nice kid, you know, seems like a nice young man. But there is something weaselly happening here that speaks to sort of a lack of integrity, right? So here's John Doyle on his Blaze Network, his Glenn Beck Network podcast, shilling for the war in Iran.
When we're analyzing this with the Iranian regime, I hear so much of this from people who are supposedly real, Christ is king kind of guys. And then you're talking about a regime that is functionally a death cult. These people literally worship demons. They believe in the complete annihilation of do you understand what I'm saying? These are not temperamentally stable people that you would perhaps want to have access to this kind of weaponry. Moreover, everybody wants multipolarity. Everybody wants nuclear weapons. Everybody wants all those things when they are in positions of not being the dominant country or the dominant culture, whatever you want to call it. We cannot afford to let that happen. We cannot actually afford to let all of these other countries basically lull us into this idea of freaking egalitarian kumbaya trust fall. Just give us nukes, please. Poquito nukes, please. I promise we will handle it responsibly. No, I actually don't believe that. I don't believe that you are pursuing this honestly. I don't trust you. You're obviously, allied against or aligned against us. Like, none of this is going to go well for us. So those are very, real concerns. And the Iranians, by the way, this is also true, were given, every off-ramp to avoid something like this. Is that not what happened? Were we not negotiating with them, which, by the way, pissed off the Israelis? Were we not giving them a bone more time, which, by the way, pissed off the Israelis? Trump said, I don't care. I want to make a deal. This is what I campaigned on. The Iranians were like, what are we going to do? Give up our ability to develop this and forever be essentially a back seat in global affairs? Are we going to be a slave to, the other countries who are running the world? We're not going to have our own destiny. We're not going to get to do our cool, gay death cult thing. No. So they essentially wanted to make Donald Trump, I guess you'd say, go all the way there. They wanted to see if he would balk. They wanted to call what they believe was a bluff and say, I don't think so, Mr. No New Wars. I don't think that you're going to do that because you understand that it would be unpopular. You understand whatever. And you don't want to get involved with us because we're the Iranians. We have, obviously, Russia, China. We're doing fantastic. And Donald Trump, being Donald Trump, is, of course, actually, in fact, willing to take it there. So I think that is, more or less big picture kind of what we're seeing. Again, there are U.S. interests. There are Israeli interests. But I think that when we keep score and kind of see, this was objectively sort of something that was going to have to be dealt with at some point.
This was objectively something that was going to have to be dealt with at some point. And then Keith Woods posts this tweet from April, from a year. So this is 1 year ago, right? Somebody said to John Doyle, this is Calvinist Groyper, Israel is forcing us into a war in Iran that will destroy America as we know it, and all you can tweet is this gay slop. John, you literally saved myself and so many others from being libertarians. It's time you spoke the truth, blah, blah, blah. John says, supposing this is true, which it isn't, as I've addressed repeatedly at length, where is this idea coming from that Iran is an actual threat? Is this just what happens when you grow up during Bush admin? Who are their allies? Do they have political or even economic stability? So 1 year ago, it was like, oh, you think Iran is a threat? You must have been brainwashed by boomer cons. Follow the thread here, right? So this guy's like, Israel is going to force us into a war with Iran. And John Doyle is like, well, why would you even care? Because Iran is a paper tiger and we would just dog walk them if we wanted to. And now a year later, it's, obviously the Iranian threat had to be dealt with at some point because they're too crazy and we just can't let them just do whatever they want. It really is a flip-flop. Here's Glenn Beck, the guy who runs Blaze Media, which is the network that John Doyle works for now.
I don't know why I was born, but there is something about the state of Israel that connects deeply to me.
Yeah, Trump is such a badass. They didn't think Trump would do it, but he did, and now gas costs $6 where I live. Thanks, Trump. What are the American interests? Because I'm not liking the gas prices right now. What are he's like, there's American interests, there's Israeli interests. As far as I can tell, Trump we just listened to Trump, and Trump is like, if I didn't do it, Israel would be gone. But what is the American interests? Oh, sorry, I forgot. Israel's interests are American interests. Israel doesn't need America. America needs Israel. How long until John Doyle starts saying America needs Israel? Israel doesn't need America.
To have the privilege to stand with the Jew, is a tremendous honor.
Dude, saying the Jew rather than the Jews is peak. I have to always remember to say that. The Jew. The Jew doesn't want you to know this.
Honor.
But you should just drop the S. It's cleaner. Stand against the Jew.
Spiritually.
The honor of standing against the Jew.
So I want to read a letter that I...
Hold on. You just said you were afraid Nick kicked you from Cozy. Well, first of all, to be clear, there's no reason for me to care about Cozy, and there hasn't been for a while. I'm more concerned just with I would rather keep my relationship with Nick on good terms than bad terms. That's what I don't care about Cozy. I want to make content with Nick. I want to do a stream with him. That's what I care about, first of all. Second of all, Doyle is a J-shill and Nick is a petty narcissist who runs AF like a cult. I mean, he's a little bit of a narcissist, but I'm not going to call him petty. I don't know what's so petty. I don't really like I don't like your vibes. You want to talk about running shit like a cult? Vibe check failed. You know what really bugs me is that how it starts off with bro. When people are like arguing with you and they start off by saying like bro or dude, it's like this creates this unnecessary level of intensity. Dude, it's because it's like they're so exasperated, you know what I mean? Bro, dude, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Dude, oh jeez, dude.
I wrote that I am sending to the state of Israel. To Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the honorable officials at the state of Israel. In this moment, I have chosen to ask you for citizenship in the state of Israel. I have nothing to offer but my voice of support.
I probably would have let that slide if he didn't say bro at the start. Like, honestly.
And some might say that my support might be more valuable as an independent voice. Perhaps they're correct. But my request for citizenship is not about words, it is about deeds. Why, one might wonder, would I want to embrace a heritage and identity that is so ruthlessly hunted down again and again? Yet it is precisely during such moments that we must choose to stand.
Wow. Stunning and brave.
I anticipate no privileges or exemption from the state of Israel. I instead yearn to align myself with those willing to rise, to fight, and sacrifice for the fundamental right to live. Is this not what both Israel and America embody?
Have you yearned? Okay, but Glenn, did you check with AI George Washington first? Would AI George Washington approve of you yearning for Israeli citizenship?
In closing, my desire for dual citizenship does not stem from any expectation of gain, but from a deep-rooted belief in standing with what is right and true. 10 years ago, I took my children to Israel.
Rumble.
Thank you, Budajanic.
For the first time, but we first visited Auschwitz in Poland. I told them, you cannot understand Israel without the Bible or Auschwitz.
All right, okay, we get the idea. Then this, I don't know what this says. I haven't watched this. It's 14 seconds long.
That's good, actually. I think that was a good calculus. So personally, I'm actually pretty glad that Trump is president right now. Almost any other Republican and literally any Democrat, that's what they were campaigning on, these people would have been far more gung-ho when it comes to dealing with Iran, which really is not ideal. That's good, actually. I think that was a good calculus. So personally,
I don't know about that one. We'll never know, of course. But so Kamala Harris, I'm not at a point where I would say I wish Kamala was president. I'm not going to go that far. I don't think I would ever go that far because she would have been so bad in so many ways. But I don't think it's crazy to think that she might have not gone to war with Iran. Still, The thing she would have done would have been so bad. What is this? He also said that Larry Ellison buying up the media was good because he's a right-winger. Bro. Oracle and Amazon filled thousands of petitions for H-1Bs as they lay off thousands of Native Americans.
And a merger agreement was announced. Then Paramount, owned by right-wingers and key Trump allies, Larry and David Ellison, began going out on an offensive for all of Warner Brothers Discovery. Lots of factors like total versus partial ownership, stock prices. No need to bore you with the details. The point being, flash forward to the Big 2-6. The only ground that would be fertile enough for something like this to sprout, it had to be in the Big 2-6. After an emergency.
Right-wingers, Larry Ellison. Larry and his bro. What's his brother? David? No president has been in charge since 1918. Patriot Asmongold reacts to John Doyle.
Sent $5. Didn't Glenn cry when Israel replied, "Oh no, you were a boy."
You debauched goy. You're a debauched goy, Glenn. There was that. It was in YCSP last night. If you watch, there's like that video. It's an old viral video, like the last two Jews in Afghanistan, and the one guy calls the other guy a debauched goy. And I thought, like, that'd be a decent name for like a Twitter account or something like that. Especially for people who got the reference. All right, Asmongold reacts to John Doyle. What's going on here?
One more. I want to look at some other stuff.
What we're experiencing now on the right in terms of like content, information, consumption, what happened.
This is John Doyle speaks on the theater kid occupied right and grifters appealing to a mass, largely third world audience for engagement, clout, and ego. This is a quote of Dave Smith. Candace Owens is bigger than she's ever been. I know I'm bigger than I've ever been. Ben Shapiro is weaker and more of a laughing stock than ever before. Why are you coming to the defense of Ben Shapiro, man? You're telling me John Doyle never did a play? Is that what you're telling me? John Doyle never did theater at all? Okay. I don't know. Can we confirm? Did anybody go to high school with John Doyle?
Had respect a rare.
Was he captain of the football team?
Sent $5.
I did plays. I did like every play. So the theater kid occupied government is like an old John Doyle meme about these like HR women and shit like that. Like remember that one lady who was going to be like the czar of censorship, Biden's czar of censorship? I'm pretty sure she was the inspiration for the term. I spelled czar wrong. Nina Jakowicz. This chick, and there was like videos of her doing like songs and dances and shit, and they were super corny. I'm pretty sure that's when people started saying like theater kid occupied government or whatever. But like, I'm a theater kid. Okay. And I'm not saying I'm proud of that, but you've heard the expression takes one to know one. I think we need to find somebody who went to school with John Doyle. That's all I'm saying. You're telling this guy never did a play? By the way, the theater is cool. I'll say it. You know who's not cool? The jocks. No, kidding.
View is actually that we won, and that is why things have gotten so stupid. What I mean by that is like anything that's going to achieve a kind of mass popularity.
Yeah, James O'Keefe, he's like a professional dancer or whatever. Not pro, but you can tell James O'Keefe is a theater kid.
popularity is going to inevitably deal with the tragedy of the commons, right? I mean, you know this if you've ever had a particular interest in a band or a movie or something, and then you like it and you realize it's great, and then everybody else finds out about it, and then they ruin it because it gets...
No, it's true. It's like hating Jews has gone mainstream, and then maybe the people that now, all these new people from like the Palestine movement that hate Jews, they don't understand all the internal memes. They don't get all the other stuff. So yeah, they're coming into it, and they're like new fans. They're like new fans of the content, but they haven't been in the trenches.
Exposed to the masses, and it's dirtier. It's just, it ruins it. I think that's kind of what we're experiencing now, where a lot of, people who made it on the right wing as like pundits, talking heads, or whatever, now they've realized how they can actually escape the niche of online right-wing politics, which is, of course, by appealing to a mass audience, which, no man has an audience. True, by the way. The only way that you can ever truly break out of your niche and achieve something like a mass audience is if you cater to the sort of preconceived dispositions of that audience. You're never going to be able to, convince tens of millions of people by yourself of like some new position. Like, people sort of have these like baseline impulses and sentiments, and perhaps those have been propagandized into them, but nonetheless, that is what they retain. And so what I'm seeing now in terms of how everything is becoming so stupid is a dynamic where you've got all of these people on the right wing who tried to be models in Los Angeles but weren't pretty enough, who tried to be screenwriters in Hollywood but weren't funny enough. All of these people, they're theater kids. Theater kid occupied government, you may recall.
I like this guy.
Right. Yeah. So this is John Doyle's old video, Theater Occupied Government, and it's all Democrats. I don't know really who he's talking about. Like James O'Keefe, I guess, could be, but he's like, I don't know. It sounds more like, because he's talking about like Candace Owens and Dave Smith, maybe. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't like the whole like this overly cynical, who's that guy? The media market guy. What's his name? The brown gay guy, Basil. Basil has this whole media market thing, and I think it's like a good framework to know about and to think about, but it's like so cynical in the sense that you just think everybody is just chasing views. And actually, I don't think like most people are actually that cynical. Because this is what John is saying. He's like, oh, well, they're just trying to appeal to a mass audience of brownoids. I think most people are a little bit more genuine than we give them credit for. Not everyone's a grifter, you know what I mean? You look at somebody like Candace Owens, like she probably really believes she's onto something. I'm not saying she has like unimpeachable integrity. Okay. I'm not saying that. But she probably believes that she's like directionally correct with what she's doing. You know what I mean? Oh, there's almost like nobody who is like just really that much of just like, I should just do this thing because it's popular.
I like this guy a lot. Oh, yep. There it is.
All of these people tried to make it in some real way.
Doyle is Israel first. My impression of Doyle is that, you become right wing and you get associated with Jewsburgs. Okay, let's use that term. That's a term I learned from Andrew Wilson. That it sort of captures that idea of like people who have kind of only one thing they care about, and they bring everything back to that thing, and that thing is Jews, right? Turns out those people are right for what it's worth, but when you first encounter them, they can be very annoying. They can be very abrasive, because anytime you're not talking about Jews, they're like, why aren't you talking about Jews? This guy doesn't talk about Jews. He's a cuck. He doesn't talk about Jews. And so those people can be so abrasive that you just kind of think of like, oh, these people are like myopically obsessed with one thing. They're freaks and weirdos. And by the way, they can be. They rub people the wrong way. They push people away. and you think they're mostly wrong or at least partially wrong, and so you develop this whole thing of like, I'm not going to become.
The Nutter sent $3. John Doyle's parents got a divorce because his dad had a corn problem and wouldn't stop jerking it. Always nut, never goon boys.
Is that true? I really liked his anti-porn videos. And so anyway, long story short, you end up overcompensating, and you end up being like an anti-Semite. And you end up never talking about Jews or Jewish power. Wasn't like Asmongold at the start, he's like, yeah, it's like with the noticers, you know, and then all these brown third worlders show up and now it's not cool. And it's like this, he obviously doesn't know anything about John Doyle, because John Doyle is like the low IQ anti-Semitism guy, meaning like that's what he accuses you of, you know? And what's funny is like people like that, maybe, I don't know that much, I don't watch John's podcast or anything, but what they'll do is they'll pay lip service when they're counter signaling you. So they'll be like, oh, you guys are low IQ anti-Semites and you never shut up about Jews. And then they'll say, you know, there's valid criticisms of Israel or the Jewish lobby you could have or whatever, but you guys are just obsessed. And that's the only time they acknowledge the valid concerns. You know what I mean? And you're like, well, are you ever going to make a video about AIPAC, you know, or whatever? Like when that, you kind of notice that if you pay attention, you notice like, oh, you only acknowledge the validity of the grievances when you're defending Jews. Anyway, that's my impression. It's just sort of like an overcompensation that you see this with people. They get onto the right wing, they encounter the online right, they encounter the Jew spurgs, if you will, and they're just like, I don't want to be one of these people, and they just overcompensate.
Couldn't, and then washed up into right-wing politics.
And of course, we should acknowledge that easier to be successful in a mainstream kind of way, you know, much easier to get a job at the Blaze. He does work for Glenn Beck, but that's like a recent development. Like he started this Blaze podcast like 4 months ago or something. But obviously you don't get that contract if you're a Jew spurg. I'm not getting a Blaze contract.
And they do a decent enough job.
Or like sponsorships in general. So there is also, you know, you're like, wow, these people are kind of weird and abrasive, and also they don't get mainstream deals and contracts. Nick Fuentes doesn't get a Rumble deal or a streaming deal at all, but streamers half his size, like the Quartering, do get a deal, right? Streamers a third of his size, like the Quartering, they get a deal. So it's really, you'd also notice that if you're not retarded, obviously.
Yes, I'm sure maybe they care about the issues, I guess. But there's always that what might have been kind of resting on their shoulder. And I think that what you see is when you have people like Candace Owens, for example, who are now actually breaking out of the plan.
As I said, me, right? I mean, I was massively popular. Like I used to do, I was the most popular person making WoW videos. Then I was the most popular person that was doing like a lot of React stuff, at least on Twitch, or one of the most popular. And then I was most popular doing variety gaming. I was like at least top 5, right? And now I'm the most popular doing this. It's like, really, I mean, damn, bro, like, how about that? What are the odds of that?
How about that? Does that make sense? I'm not conspiratarding or anything. I'm just like saying, does Asmongold being the world's biggest right-wing political streamer make sense to anybody?
Damn. It just keeps working.
Must be nice.
To use the Dinesh D'Souza
That's
term.
crazy.
Maybe I should have said that with Mrs. Owens, but it's.
I would also love to get Asmongold on the show. I should ask him. I've asked him, I think, once or twice before, and he doesn't respond. It'd be so cool if he did, though.
Escaping the plantation of like niche right-wing media or something, and now you actually have a big mainstream mass audience, and you're not just one of the big.
Is that a Trump? Is that Trump as Buddha? Oh my God. I need to get that. Wow.
Not just one of the big right-wing influencers, you're just like a big influencer, period. Though you did get your start in right-wing politics, perhaps you still claim that you maintain a flavor of right-wing politics.
It'll never work. It's like OnlyFans girls that try to go into being traditional housewives. Like, you're always going to be a hoe. Like, Mia Khalifa is a great example. You can talk about Palestine all you want, but you can go to 1,000 political protests, but you can suck one dick. You're not a political activist.
Follow me, yeah.
You're a dick sucker. And you'll always be a dick sucker.
He just talked about how he switched genres 3 times, and then he's like, it doesn't work. You can't do that. This is when I say, does it make sense to you that he's so popular? This is what I mean. He literally 2 seconds ago, he was like, yeah, I've changed genres 3 times and I'm always successful. And then 2 seconds later, he's like, you can't change genres. It's impossible.
Problem is, now a lot of the colleagues of these people who share perhaps that same what might have been on the shoulder, they start to see not just the behavior of some normal influencer who's an Instagram model, who's a streamer or whatever, they're achieving success. Someone who's a colleague, I mean, they would never be a colleague of that person. Someone who's, making a living, making a name for themselves on the internet, doing right-wing politics. That would never be like a model that they would expect to replicate, that they think that they could be successful with, that they could kind of get away with venturing into. What I see now, however, is you've got a few people sort of leading this charge who are realizing that they can expand their audience beyond just like niche right-wing internet politics by appealing to those normie sensibilities, anti-elitism, anti-Western civilization, anti-war, all of this stuff, which is basically to say,
bro,
you fucking anti-war normies. This is the Bronze Age mindset, nerd. Why are you trying to appeal to anti-war normies? Is John Doyle the only person who didn't want Middle Eastern forever war, or who did want Middle Eastern forever wars? That's the funny thing, is like that's the weird thing, man. Everybody was like, we don't want war with Iran, including Trump. And so then when it happens, it's like, okay, this is now like an integrity test. Were you actually against it, or are you, and when you flip-flop, you're the one coming across like you don't really believe in anything. Trying to appeal to normies with their normie attitudes, like being anti-war. You notice how he slipped that one in with like things that are a little bit more palatable to a right-winger, like anti-elitism or whatever. I'm not even, and by the way, like anti-wars, that's not even, we're anti-Jew wars. Okay. How about we go to war? You want me to be pro-war? Let's declare war on Israel. Let's invade and enslave Israel. Literally if you had to pick a country to go to war with, any country in the world, who would it be? Israel. But instead, we fight Israel's wars for them. So it's not like I'm anti-war. I'm anti-fighting wars for Jews.
Finally, somebody else is saying this shit. Fucking finally. Oh my.
Like Asmongold doesn't know. I mean, Like he just doesn't know what he's talking about. You know what I mean? Like he is pro-war with Iran. He is. But it's funny. There's like two different things. Like Asmongold just kind of doesn't know what he's talking about, whereas John Doyle seems like a lot more like a very like John Doyle's doing like propaganda, pro-Trump propaganda, and Asmongold is just a guy who is like lost and doesn't know where he is.
My God. He's one of the first people I've ever seen say this that isn't like, it isn't basically just me, right? I mean, thank God.
Finally, somebody else who loves Middle Eastern forever wars.
You couldn't turn something into a housewife? I've heard that before.
Hey, everything that like America, Europe, all of that is like bad, and we are the freaking people united against this. That is like what all of that means. That is how these audience people are like.
They're trying to farm third worlders.
Experiencing that. And the problem.
Yeah, Doyle knows what he's doing. Asmongold is just like. I said before Asmongold is like trying to pander to the chuds. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe it's more just like Asmongold is like the quintessential chud. Like he actually just wants to bomb Iran and kill them because they're brown. Maybe that's more accurate and fair than the idea that he's like trying to say what he thinks people wants to hear.
Problem is now you've got this kind of like, I don't know.
That's a little bit more endearing when you put it that. It's a little bit more forgivable, you know, but it's still not. It's still, he could use a little more nuance when it comes to this stuff.
I don't know if you'd say like grass is greener situation or first guy in the pool situation, but I'm seeing people who used to just be very strict right-wing politics, very strict conservative politics. Now they are seeing what works. They're seeing that they actually can get more engagement that they've ever tasted before. Yeah. They can get more exposure, more clout. And now they are allowing their message to kind of be watered down to accommodate for those masses who, absent that dilution, would never have had an interest in right-wing politics or whatever. He's right. That is why, fundamentally, the space has simultaneously gotten better on the issues and more retarded at the same time, which I've been advancing that. It is true, even though it sounds a bit counterintuitive.
It's not true. He's totally right about what he's saying. He is like, I don't know who this is, but
what we're experiencing now.
This guy, John Doyle. Well, how about him? Patriot. I like that. That's it. That's all he says. I like this guy. What a good dude. And yeah, that's it. And
this is like me discovering John Doyle 10 years ago. Exact same reaction. Wow, I love this guy. What a good dude. And then you hear he has all these problems. The Groypers don't like him, and you're like, they're probably just salty for you know how they are. And then you start to see the cracks in the veneer. That's how I feel now. I'm like, oh man. I'm starting to see the problems with John Doyle. I mean, that tweet that said it all, where he's like, "How you think Iran's a threat? What are you, brainwashed by neocons?" And then a year later, he's saying, "Obviously, we had to deal with Iran at some point."
Awards, nobody's thinking for themselves, trying to get views. Yeah, they're trying to farm they're trying to farm third worlders and like middle of the road people by creating these like milquetoast weird everybody can agree with this opinions, like, oh wow bro, like everything is bad and you know like we need to stick it to the people in charge. Like this type of like brain dead, you know, socially acceptable, you know, performative activism is something that a lot of these people want to buy into because it's easier for them to do that. Won't you follow him? That's a good idea. I should. Yeah, there it is. And I totally agree with this. I think so. Absolutely. And is Sonathy a kid? I don't know if he is or not. I've got no idea. But like, I'm just saying that I think it's a big fucking problem.
Somebody said, is John a theater kid? even Asmongold audience is like, wait, hang on. This guy's making fun of theater kids. That doesn't pass the smell test. Trump. Yeah, Cuba's going to be next. Cuba's a mess.
And that Cuba will be next. What did you mean by that exactly?
Who will be next?
Cuba.
Yeah, Cuba's going to be next. Cuba's a mess. It's a failing country, and they're going to be next. Within a short period of time, it's going to fail. And we will be there to help it out. We'll be there to help our great Cuban Americans out who were thrown out of Cuba. In many cases, their family members were mutilated and killed by Castro. Well, Cuba's going to be next, yeah.
Starting to think he's serious. Dude, even Med Gold is leaving the Plan Trusters plantation. Even Med Gold posted this on Substack. Can you please improve America? Ukraine. Indians are hijacking the job market. Greenland. I voted for you to improve America. Venezuela. Zoomers are broke as shit. Iran. Blacks are murdering everyone. Cuba. Even Med Gold isn't trusting the plan anymore. Governor Pritzker calls on Trump to be removed via the 25th Amendment. And Warren Baylog is on Twitter. He's on X now. And you should follow this guy. This is Emily Yukis's husband. And he does good analysis, good political analysis. He says the Pritzker family, Pritzker, however you say it, crime family, were early business partners of Donald Trump, and J.B. Pritzker is, of course, a pillar of major Jewish wealth and power in the United States. I'm seeing more and more of these ultra-Zionist Jews stepping up to lead the charge against Trump for bungling their Iran war. Is world Jewry getting ready to pull a Darth Vader and tell Trump, you have failed me for the last time?
There is something genuinely wrong with this man, and the 25th Amendment ought to be invoked. There is something.
Ann Coulter says, I really wish legal experts hadn't screamed bloody murder about every little thing Trump did so they could speak with authority now that he's actually committing war crimes. There's Warren again. He says, it's very telling that they tried to impeach him when he was basically calling for peace with Russia. But now that he's actually blowing up thousands of civilians on behalf of Israel, it's a very muted, slow, glacial response. And speaking of Israel and Jews, remember Argentina and Xavier Millet, the ANCAP hero guy? And everybody's like, well, this guy's so awesome. He's going to fix Argentina. But then other people were like, I don't know, man. Here's a picture of him kissing the wall. I don't know. Well, he is finalizing a deal to accept 300,000 Israelis and create a mini state. Create a new Israeli state in Argentina, in the burned parts of Patagonia, called Private Neighborhood Josue, Prophet of Israel. Right. So what happened? There was like fires. What happened? And then everything burned down, and then intense wildfires. Right. It's weird. If you pay attention to these wildfires, man, there's always some weird Jewish connection, you know, where everything burns down and then they come in and buy everything cheap. So there was big wildfires and now everything burned down, and now they're going to make a new Israel in Argentina.
Se ha filtrado a la prensa el informe confidencial catalogado bajo el expediente número MS26.
All right, we don't need to watch all that. Confidential report from the Secretariat leaked to the press, an interministerial program involving high-level coordination to develop a preventative plan to accommodate up to 300,000 Israeli refugees in Argentina. The fuck are they fleet? Dude, there's like that famous ad slats tweet Anna Slats like, Afghani refugee, what the fuck are you fleeing from? Oppressing women? It's like, you're an Israeli refugee? What are you fleeing from? Killing children? Documents have been leaked to the media revealing the existence of an urban planning project approved by Argentina's Ministry of Public Works to create what they call a country that is private urbanization to be built in Patagonia on land burned by fire named Private Neighborhood Josue, Prophet of Israel. This private neighborhood will span nothing less than 100,000 hectares. That's 4 times the surface area of Gaza. And this won't be an urbanization that any Argentine can join. It's conceived as a residential, cultural, educational, and economic hub for the Israeli community. Construction begins next April. And moving on to this tweet by Nate Silver. These are the ex-Twitter accounts with the most engagement so far in 2026. So the point of this tweet is to show that X is like taken over by right-wing chuds, right? Which, first of all, like, what did you expect when Elon Musk bought it in order to fix it because there was massive censorship of right-wing accounts, and he said, we're not going to censor people anymore. What did you expect? Old Twitter was the censored and biased Twitter. New Twitter is the relatively less censored and relatively even playing ground. There's still actually a lot of problems on new Twitter, or Elon's Twitter, or whatever you want to call it, X. But it is relatively... People, I think people forget. A lot of people like to say it's like worse now under Elon. People actually forget how bad it was. People forget, like, so many people just didn't have accounts. Yeah, maybe you're throttled. I'm throttled. I'm punished. Whether I'm punished for being anti-Semitic or just too much of a slop account, I don't know, but I am throttled compared to other people. Anyway, putting that aside, this data is just bad anyway. I'm not on here. I looked at so these are engagement numbers, 70 million, 57 million. I looked at mine for 2026 and I was at 30 million. So I should be like here next to Vivid Prowess, bigger than Vivid Prowess with my 30 million, bigger than C3, bigger than Mehdi Hassan. But these numbers also just aren't right. They've got Jack Posobiec at 14 million. I doubt it. They've got End Wokeness at 18 million. You're telling me I had twice as much engagement as End Wokeness this year? There's no way. There's just no way that's even accurate. They're trying to somehow count this from the outside looking in, and it's obviously like they don't know what they're doing. They don't have all the accounts. Where's Barack Obama on here? Where's all these like left-wing politicians who tweet all the time? They're not even on here. Where's AOC? Is she on here? They got to have AOC, right? She's not even on here, dude. So it's pointless. You just cherry pick who you want. Being a slop account would work in your favor? No, because they're sort of anti-slop. I wrote an article on X about it. Nikita and some of the intellectual, the teapot clique, they're very like anti, it's very frowned upon. It's looked down upon. And they're trying to fix it. So that's why my engagement rate is like very high, because that's how you're being throttled, right? So here's AF Post. You guys all know this account, right? This is the guy who runs it, Aiden. This is AF Post, and he posts their analytics for 2026. They have 31 million engagements, which is just a little bit more than me. I'm at 30.3. Here's mine, right? But look at my impressions, 363 million impressions, 8.3% engagement rate. AF Post has 587 million with a 5.2% engagement rate. Dude, one percentage different of engagement rate makes a huge difference, right? He's got 3% lower engagement rate. And so over that period, he got 220 million more impressions, which is how they pay you now, according to X. Officially, they say you get paid based off of timeline impressions. So AF Post makes way more money than me on X because they have a 5.2% engagement rate and I have an 8.3% one because I'm throttled. That's how you know you're throttled. You're like sandboxed. What they do is they only show your tweets to people who really, really like your account. So you end up having a high engagement rate and the impressions don't match that. My engagement rate usually hovers around like 10, 11, 12%. It's a little bit lower over this period because Elon Musk quote tweeted me twice. And when he does that, your engagement rate goes down. And then something else interesting here that we saw was Hassan posted his analytics. And there's a couple interesting things here. First of all, he has a 6.2% engagement rate. So he's even more throttled than AF Post. I should say take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. If you get quote tweeted a lot, it will result in your engagement rate being lower. And maybe AF Post just gets quote tweeted a lot. Maybe it's not that they're like favored by X necessarily. Take this with a bit of a grain of salt, but so he's got the same amount of engagements, roughly 30 million. But he for his 1.6 million followers, he has 22,000 verified, 22,000 blue check followers. I have 51,000 blue check followers out of my 670K followers. So he has almost 3 times as many followers and less than half as many verified. So a lot of people are saying this shows that he's botted. Maybe it just means communists are poor. Maybe the reason they're communists is because they're poor and they want your shit. They just want your shit because they don't have their own shit. Maybe it's as simple as that. Real ass Wigga. Okay, I didn't see this, but it's interesting. Wow, MAGA voice 10.8 engagement rate, 56 million. This account's killing me. Oh, 1.4 million followers. Okay, I don't feel so bad then. I don't even know this account. But yeah, that's like a really high engagement rate, right? If I look at mine, well, I won't bother. I think it's probably like mine's probably around 10% if I were to look at like the last week. Anyway, so this guy over 2026 is more throttled than I have been. He's not getting the Elon Musk quotes, I guess. Anyway, I wanted to say something about this real ass nigga account. And look at this, 20 million engagements with 50,000 followers. This guy just like made his account. I don't know who this is. Oh, I thought it was more recent than that because he just started showing up recently. He literally, like, every time I see a tweet from this guy, it's just like some old viral tweet that I had posted like 9 out of 10 times. It's like this guy like tracked all my viral tweets and just like kept them in a folder or something and started posting them. And now he's got like a big Twitter account and he's probably making a few $1,000s a month for sending tweets. And it's like it's so easy. It's so easy to get a big Twitter account is the point I was going to make. Like, it's literally so easy. I don't know why more people don't do it. Obviously, like, the market would get saturated at some point. Well, I also think that this guy just like, for whatever reason, he doesn't get throttled the same way. He doesn't post his engagement rate. What's your engagement rate, nigga? I have more engagements listed here. I was shadow banned for the first month of 2020. Oh, yeah. So you see here, this is like an actual shadow ban. This has happened to me before. You get a temporary where it's not even worth tweeting. But the fact that he gets so many impressions with such a little following count. What's your engagement rate? Por favor. How do you say that? What's your engagement rate, nigga? Was there anything else I was going to say about this? Not really. Who cares? It's boring. Oh, some people were complaining because they have Jackson Hinkle as a right winger, and it's like he's a communist, and people were complaining about stuff like that. He is a MAGA communist for what it's worth. Matt Walsh, 11 million. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I know Matt Walsh doesn't tweet as much as me. And I'm not sure how much End Wokeness tweets, but I just don't believe it. They don't have Laura Loomer on here. DC Drano, only 11 million. Piers Morgan. I mean, Piers Morgan doesn't tweet that much, so maybe. You know what would be really cool? I've wanted this for a while, and I think it would be an excellent idea, is make everybody's analytics public. Make it so that like I can like click on your profile and like click on this and then like view analytics. You know, and then it just shows me this page, but for you. Make it all public. Let's see, you see I have 9.6 engagement for the last week. It's going up and up and up because I'm still like getting over the residual effects of that Elon Musk quote tweet where I got 26 million impressions in one day. And I think if I show my 1 year analytics, you can still see my shadow ban. Yeah. I'm at 1.3 billion, dude. The first year Elon took over, I had 3.3 billion. Those were the days, man. Those were that was when it was real free for all. That was when Elon was like, when it was like a meritocracy and you got driven by engagement. I had 3 times as much as I do now. Now they try to like control it. They try to make it so that people without followers still get engagement. It is what it is. Okay. Is Hassan Piker's X account botted? Let's examine some comparative data points. I don't know. You know, a lot of left wingers, a lot of shit libs left Twitter when Elon bought it. So it's possible like that Hassan just has a lot of dead accounts following him, people who went to Blue Sky, etc. Moving on. Savannah Hernandez, my report on the Hindu temple in Texas has gone international, and I've been included in an anti-India hate factory broadcast. India ascends.
Rising anti-India sentiment in the U.S. is now spilling from online spaces into everyday life, viewers. From public meetings to grocery aisles, 2 separate flashpoints, but one larger pattern. Even as disturbing data is coming to light, the Indian American Advocacy Council has documented a disturbing trend that 1 in 2 Indian Americans have faced some form of discrimination in the last 1 year.
Online videos and posts mock Indian culture, question immigration, and push false narratives of an invasion. And it's not just in civic spaces.
False narratives of an invasion? India is the greatest biohazard threat to the white race, to humanity. Same thing. Same thing. If in my opinion, if you're asking me, same thing as far as I'm concerned. That's why Jean Raspail was such a visionary, because he saw the threat way before anybody. Jean Raspel went to India and he was like, holy fuck. If this place ever breaches containment, it's over. And for people who don't know, he's the guy who wrote Camp of the Saints.
Even a routine trip to stores like Costco.
The guy's name is Majid. There was some guy named, his name was Visajit, and he got caught trying to meet a minor in the UK. Visajit. That was like one word. That was like his first name, Visajit.
Is now under scrutiny. Viral clip.
Oh, David Santa Carla posted this. This guy had no account before Elon came back. You know, people are like, it's worse with Elon now. It's like, there's a lot of people who just wouldn't even have accounts. So I wouldn't go that far. The Quartering has declared war on Kino Casino, promising to get their YouTube channel removed. He says, I've given you clowns plenty of runway, both publicly and privately. Or he said, I'll go ahead and take everything you have. Enough is enough. Too bad I liked you. First will be your YouTube, which is in violation of ban evasion. Easy takedown, and next will be your Kick. So Quartering thinks he's going to get these guys banned from YouTube and Kick. I kind of doubt it, but I'm interested to see, because, you know, anybody can report anybody, and technically it shouldn't matter who's reporting. Like, so this is like sort of the interesting thing. Quartering is insinuating that like I'm such a big deal that if I report you, you'll get banned. And I don't think that's actually true. My prediction is he doesn't get them banned. And then when he fails to ban them, he'll probably act like it was like him being benevolent and merciful. But I don't think he can do it. I just straight up don't think he can actually do this. There is a ban evasion happening. That part's true. So technically he should be able to, and maybe he will be able to get the YouTube taken down on that basis. But it's going to be hard to prove, because you'd have to like know the URL of the old banned channel or something. You can't just go and be like, they're ban evading. Trust me, bro. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Josh posted his DMs with the Quartering, and then PPP posted them. PPP says, just so people are aware, these are the Mafia Don extortion tactics that Quartering is now using in private DMs with Josh Moon. So let's see. Josh says, this is Josh took these screenshots. Yeah, I know nobody likes a Randall, though I still don't think they cross any red lines in modern era Kick or even YouTube. I'm just curious why this now, because they've been saying a lot about your relationships behavior with MM and Hannah Claire for months. What happened in the last week to cause a crisis? MM is Melanie Mack. I don't know who Randall is. Quartering says, yeah, it's never been an issue until people started spamming my wife. I literally don't care that they make fun of me. Like, her family has seen this shit. Unofficial truce. They delete the videos attacking our marriage. So they've been saying the Quartering is a cuck. So I guess that's what he means. Delete the cuck videos. Delete the cuck videos. I never mentioned them again. I don't think these guys are scared. I don't think they probably love it when you talk about them. You know what I mean? He doesn't have any leverage. That's why he's acting like he can nuke their accounts, but they're just going to call his bluff, and then he's going to have to admit that he can't actually do that. The more they do it, the more I want to flex my connections to bury them. This is a one-time offer. They can meme on anyone else they want. I don't care if they meme on my friend who apparently has a questionable past. But this is an exploding offer. If they want to go to war, I will win. I assume all these messages will be public, but I like Andy. Just get rid of the videos claiming I let some faggot fuck my wife, and they continue to make 10K a month on YouTube, and I move on, but they continue to spread disgusting lies about my family, and I have no choice but to react. It's time for them to make a business decision. This is a win-win. I can burn it all down, LOL. I have 5 years guaranteed salary at Rumble. 5-year contract. Dude. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy too, because when Rumble puts you at the top of the front page, you get thousands of viewers just from that. I know because they did it to me twice. When Siraj used to work at Rumble, I was like telling him, like, man, put this stream on. And they did it twice. And both times there was thousands of people watching on Rumble. But so imagine if you got put at the top of the front page every day for months. You would just normally then have 6,000 to 10,000 people watching you on Rumble because you would grow your audience so much. It's not right and it's not fair. It should have been me, Chris Pavlovsky. These guys propped up Revenge of the Cis and The Quartering. Why have you forsaken me, God? No, I'm kidding. Smart enough potentially to use lawyers. Well, look, man, if anybody has enough money to sue, it's probably him. So why doesn't he go for a defamation lawsuit if they're saying he's a cuck and talking about his marriage and stuff? And because, right, if they're like his wife's family is getting involved and they're seeing stuff, he could demonstrate like the damage and the emotional trauma that's being inflicted. He must really be a cuck. No, that's a joke. Oh, they propped up Revenge of the Cis and The Quartering, and they left Hypocrite to languish down in the trenches by himself with no help. What else did he say here? Sorry, that's besides the point. Disgusting lies about my family, make a business decision, win-win. I can burn it all down, LOL. 5 years guaranteed salary. God. I bet you it's a really good salary, too.
Brother Nathaniel sent $3 this Fugola. The Quartering makes 10K in super chats talking about PPP and Andy, and you can't even get Rumble front page.
That's so true, Brother Nathaniel. Try refreshing the gift alert widget. Done. If they balk, that's not on you. I still support Kiwi Farms. I can't even talk to Josh. He's got me blocked. What the fuck, man? Not even just blocked on X, but blocked on Telegram too. Not that I really have anything to say. Like the only thing I have to say is, why did you block me? I just don't get it. Man. Me and Josh were cool and I liked him. And then he just like, you make one little video about going to the Holocaust Museum with Gabe Hoffman. Guess I touched a nerve. Really touched a nerve with that Gabe Hoffman stuff. Josh says, I don't know why they would accept that though. If someone made the same offer to you, would you take? Yeah, they're not going to say okay to this. They would look like the losers if they deleted all the videos and were like, we're not going to talk about The Quartering anymore. It's like you got a cease and desist and you were scared, you know? They're not going to do that. Because the problem for quartering is, like, the lawsuit is a tough sell. If he went to the lawyer would probably be like, I don't know, man. This is like a coin toss, you know. Defamation lawsuits are like they're hard to win is the problem. Even if people are lying about you. Any retard who has been as banned as much as both of them have would if they are smart. Well, one of the things about Kino Casino, which you have to hand it to them, is that they seem to have a very agile audience, because when they got banned on YouTube, they recovered very quickly. So actually they don't necessarily, right? If they somehow got banned on YouTube and Kick, they could just go to like Crusaders. They could probably go on Crusaders and just have 10,000 people or whatever watching them over there, or however many they get. I don't think they're really that worried. They could go on, what else is there? They could go on 88 streams. Maybe not. 88 streams might actually have too high a standards. I don't know. They could stream on Odyssey and probably be fine. Anyway. And then also, speaking of defamation and lawsuits, apparently Milo published a book that he sells on Amazon about James Lindsay molesting his stepdaughter. New York Times best-selling author Milo Yiannopoulos, stepdaddy, James Lindsay and the girl. This was published on June 1st of last year. I didn't know about this. You're just telling me for the first time.
James Lindsay, so bright and wise, spreading thoughts that mesmerize. Let's see what he has to say today. Mr. Lindsay.
Chinese-funded talking head James Lindsay lives in Tennessee with his paramour and her daughter, a young lady described by Lindsay as bisexual and as his daughter. He has long been accused of impropriety. So is this supposed to be like a fiction, like a satirical parody fiction thing? Is that what he's done? Where's the sample of the book? I don't know. Anyway, $4. For paperback, $4, 99 cents on Kindle. How you can sell a paperback book for $4? I almost want to buy it just for the meme. $4. Get it tomorrow with Prime. Wait, I don't want to show my secure checkout. I don't necessarily want to fund Milo Yiannopoulos, but it's $4. That's basically free. I'm going to keep that book here at the table as a meme so I can pull out whenever James Lindsay comes. Maybe, and I'll read a passage. I'll read a steamy passage. I don't know. James Lindsay said, this is a rank defamation, and I'd take Milo for everything he has over it if he had anything. Every lawyer I've consulted about it has said Milo is judgment-proof, too broke to sue, and too nasty to make it worthwhile. Thank you, Libertarian Party official, for letting me tell this story. Up until now, I have refused to tell this story because it doesn't deserve my attention, at least not beyond a cease and desist. With this kind of slander from this kind of actor, your best option actually is to ignore it, not to draw attention to it and spread it around. Milo literally self-published a demented book alleging I molested my daughter. This obviously didn't happen. No one ever claimed it happened. Milo simply made it up maliciously. It easily qualifies as defamation per se. Though I don't know for certain, Milo probably did this on someone's orders because I was damaging the woke right attempt to derail the Trump administration and the Republican Party, which we can now see is plainly some kind of evil conspiracy against the United States. Putin called Milo and he was like, Milo, it's time to publish Stepdaddy. Publish the Lindsay book. This is not me. It's a defamatory testament to how badly the woke right wants to destroy its enemies. They're genuinely evil and have no place in any respectable movement, especially in America, doubly especially for conservatives. You do have assets, though, Libertarian Party. I suggest you delete the post. Oh, you have assets, so in other words, I might sue you. You posted this with obvious malice and disregard for the facts. Yeah, something tells me he's not going to sue the Libertarian Party. Although I'm not saying he molested his stepdaughter. He probably didn't. He probably just... Well, I'm not going to say what he probably does, but he probably just fantasizes about doing it. Sorry. I'm sorry. That slipped out. Oh, Texas family says man shot a pedophile in the genitals to stop him from targeting his underage nieces.
I see some commotion going on with my little cousins and stuff.
Dontavius Williams says he knew something wasn't right.
And my little cousin, them telling me that the dude said, oh, come back and smoke some meth with me. You know what I'm saying? Some drugs.
The family saying this wasn't the first time Fort Worth police say officers had been called to the 3700 block of Century Palace on Friday morning after receiving calls of a man possibly under the influence and soliciting children for sex.
But we already been heard that certain dude been messing with other little kids around here.
That's when they say Renfro stepped in.
They exchanged some words. When Marcus was walking away, he just ran up on him like he was trying to approach him like to hurt him in some way.
Police have not confirmed this version of the events. As officers arrived, they heard a gunshot.
And then he said something to Marcus, and then he turned around and Marcus shot him.
Police say they found the man who matched the suspect's description with a gunshot wound in the groin. Police say the man was taken to the hospital and expected to survive. At this time, it's not clear if he'll face charges.
You know, what's funny is you have these stories in the replies like, free this man, he's a hero, great job. You know, it's like I don't know, man. Look, a white guy shoots a pedophile. It's like, okay, yes, free the hero, but I think we need an actual investigation in this case. You know, black people, they'll say anything to just when their homies get arrested, they'll make up any story. You can't just trust these people. You can't just take their word at face value. He probably owed the guy money for meth, and that's why he shot him in the dick. And then they said, "Oh, he's trying to hit on the kids." I mean, maybe it's true. People are just too credulous, though, when it comes to this. People are so eager on X to signal how they support vigilantism against pedophiles that they become overly credulous when it comes to dealing with black people. From the ghetto, no less. That's all I wanted to say about that story. Transgender attorney Rob Hopkins, who was tackled after arguing with an Oklahoma judge, shuts down LGBTQ law firm following the incident. So you've all seen the clip at this point. We had it a lot in YCSP last night. I was looking into this morning to try to find out what happened. Apparently this was like 6 weeks ago, but it just went viral on Twitter this past week. So this person now, they've closed their LGBTQ law firm.
All right, we're going to pick you up. We're on your side.
No, I don't. Get a female officer now. Get a female officer now.
Get up.
Get a female officer now.
Can a man request a female officer? So that is a biological woman, though. That's the joke, right? So that's very funny, Everybody's a troon until shit gets real. Like a man isn't allowed to request a female officer, are they? That wouldn't make any sense. But you could understand why a woman maybe wouldn't want to get searched by a man. So it's very funny, though, seeing a male transgender being like, get a female, I'm a woman. It's like, wait, hold on, I thought you were a man, though. Yeah, everybody's a man until it's time to go to the male prison.
I can't get up, I can't see. He just threw my glasses. I can't see. Give me my glasses. Put them on my face. No. Put them on my face, I cannot see. No. Please give me my glasses, I cannot see. I'm trying to walk and I cannot see. I need my wallet.
I'm not trying to
Judge
walk.
said take him to jail for contempt of court. And then the 511.
At this time, it is the right move for me to...
Okay, so this is the announcement that she is closing the law firm.
Step away. As many of you all heard, there was an incident that took place in another county, a rural county,
rural. That means transphobic.
There are more details of that incident, and I can't release that at this time. And being as that, I believe that I first have grounds for discrimination lawsuit there in that county.
I wish he would have shouted serenity now, serenity now. Careful with the pronouns, though. That's a violation. Yeah, so you know what? I'm just going to say he too. Fuck it. She, I can't do it. She is saying she wants to sue for discrimination because this all happened because I'm trans, right?
But for my physical safety at this time, it's best that I step away. And for my family's physical safety, it's best that I step away. And for all of you wondering if I'm moving, I'm not moving. I'm from South Texas. I can't live in one of those states like Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Minnesota. I wasn't built for that. So I'm not going to leave the great state of Oklahoma. I will work in people are, well, what are you going to do now, Rob? I'll let you know. But like I've told everybody, I know that I am created in his image. I know that there is a bigger plan for me. I know that I will always land on my feet. And whatever I have to do is to make ends meet and to survive out there, I will. For all of you worried about my mental health, thank you so much. I appreciate those thoughts and prayers and good wishes and good vibes. I've got a team of wonderful doctors. You can't go through what I can, both medically and psychologically, without being medically cleared.
Okay. This video is on February 15th on Facebook. This was I guess, shortly after the event where she tells her side. It's just saying she just doesn't feel, neither of them feels right. Doesn't feel right.
It's about time you guys hear my side. The problem is I can't address all the things that some of y'all may heard, but I can talk a little bit. I'm outside of my office. It's 7:30 on a Sunday.
13 minutes.
And usually I'd stay here a couple more hours, but I have some prior obligations. And this is a typical Sunday for me. My story is not like all of y'all's. It's a little bit different in the fact that I was born a woman, and that makes everyone mad a little bit. Some of y'all don't care, and some of y'all are neutral. It just so happens that that is a part of me.
Some don't care and some are neutral. So literally nobody thinks that it's good and supports it.
But it's not all of me. And just like I introduce myself everywhere, it's something that I don't even acknowledge. But it seems to be that...
It's something that I don't even acknowledge. It's literally the first and only thing that you've brought. And it's the thing you keep bringing up. And you're saying that it's all because of this. So I don't even acknowledge it, but it's all I ever talk about at the same time.
Certain members of very important higher-ups, if you will, have made it the brunt of a lot of things. And I have not been able to say a word about anything. But at this point, I don't think that anyone will ever hear the truth, so I had to tell it myself. About 3 years ago is the time that I decided to live my true authentic self. And I'd heard horror stories in the past. One in particular is a very famous psychiatrist here in Oklahoma City in the metro area. I don't believe she lives here anymore. She came to my office when I was still in Piedmont and begged me for my help. And I saw how terrible her case had gone, and I turned her down. And she came back to me 3 years later again and asked for my help again, and I turned her down again. And that's when I got to know her. And she said, Rob, let me tell you one thing. Don't send out a letter to all of your clients letting them know what you're doing. Just do it. And the ones that will stand by you were always the ones that were by you. And boy, was she right. I'll never forget when I first started transitioning, I had an older couple client, and I thought that my older couples would be the people that I'd have the most difficult time with. But this man came into my office and he said, I'm looking for Robin. Where is she? And I said, sir, I'm right here, and my name is Rob. And he said, okay.
Bro, imagine you go to meet your woman lawyer and it's a dude and she's turned into a dude. And you're just like, this is fine. None of my business. Bro, that's your lawyer. That's like one of the most important services you could pay for. So you hope to not need it, but you know what I mean? It's like lawyer, doctor. Those are like two people you want to have their shit together.
What about my case? And I told him about his case and didn't skip a beat, and he never got my pronouns wrong. And at that point, I knew it was possible.
I did speed up the audio. I literally told you I was doing that.
Possible for the world to accept Rob for Rob, and I knew it was time to be Rob. It became a little bit difficult in the smaller area.
Yeah, I know. Imagine having a woman lawyer. No, we used a woman for my immigration lawyer, and she was good. She did a fine job. She didn't Jew me. I used a woman immigration lawyer, and I didn't get Jewed, and then I used a Jewish copyright lawyer, and I got Jewed.
I had one member of the judiciary tell me, I'm not going to call you by Rob because that's not your legal name and I don't have to call you that. And I said, okay. So it was then and there that I decided that I would legally change my name to Rob. I wasn't going to change my name, but at that point I legally changed it to Rob because I was told that if I was going to sign my name as Rob, then my name had to be Rob. Albeit, let's not remember that there's lots of Phillips out there that go by Phil. A lot of, all sorts of things that people go by, but,
So his legal name is Robin, is what he's saying. Is this what the argument was about? The judge called him Robin or something like that? Was that her name? Whatever her name was.
I knew at that point that there was going to be no accommodations made for Rob. And so that's why it's taken me this long to even talk about myself or talk about this topic. Because all I've wanted to do here in the state of Oklahoma is go to work and go home. I've had a lot of support.
Yeah, and like you're a lawyer, surely you can figure out how to change your name legally if it's that big of a deal. I don't really know. I've watched the video of the thing with the judge, but all I really gleaned out of it was that the judge was like, stop smirking or whatever, and then the troon was like, I'm not smirking, and then basically like accused the judge of being transphobic. And it just sort of spiraled from there.
From a lot of you, but I've also lost a lot of support. And what I never expected was the support that I would lose from my actual community. You know, I've been a part of the LGBTQ community my entire life. I was a woman and I dated women. And so the first places that I'd ever been to was, you know, the gay districts and areas of South Texas, where I'm originally from. And then, of course, when I moved here in 2009 on 39th Street and all of the above is where I found myself more at home. And so it was so weird to me when I started encountering discrimination from my own community, and how we are the first to tear down any kind of minority that is the other or is being targeted at the time. And like many of lawyers, lots of people deal with addictions and alcoholism, drugs, sex, things, all sorts of things. I thought, I'm going to change that trajectory. I'm going to do it in a positive way. And so I began bodybuilding, and that was the most amazing experience I'd ever encountered. But of course, right then and there, that's when I first started getting the comments, well, he must be on steroids. Gosh, he's so aggressive. And what I thought was funny about all of those comments was that if you'd ever met me as Robin, I mean, Robin, I always say, was the most aggressive person I've ever met. And Robin was just not comfortable in her skin. And so Rob was just cool, calm, collective, just like I am right now. But
I mean, you're clearly smashing loads of testosterone, so you basically are on steroids.
That's when I remembered that people don't want to lose to Rob. They just can't handle it. It's too difficult. And, you know, I didn't start losing any of my cases until I was Rob. And that's when
Wait, what? So won all her cases as a woman, became a man, and started losing all the cases. And what is even the because Rob is too nice? Why does he think he's losing as a man?
I knew that things were going to be different for Rob. And so it didn't matter what I said, what I did. I was always lying. That was their number one thing. I wasn't telling the truth. I actually didn't send that. I actually didn't.
Funny. How's that male privilege working out for you, by the way? Becomes a man and then becomes a man. Instantly, people start telling him he's aggressive, he's roided out, he's a liar, and he starts losing all his cases. Oh, man. How's that male privilege working out there, Rob? You enjoying your white male privilege?
Received that. I actually did receive it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's Rob. And I'll never forget the day that I had one of my most terrible days in court. I was late for my last hearing, and the judge goes, well, what's going on? Where were we at? And I was like, my name's Rob Hopkins. And she says, I don't know what that means, but we'll take it from here. And what it's meant is I can't go under the radar. I'm not a wallflower. If anybody knows me, they know I'm loud, I'm proud, and I'm going to be who I'm going to be. But I'm always going to be kind. I'm always going to be respectful. And so the allegations against me that you might hear that I've been disrespectful to any member in a black robe, they're just absolutely false. They're absolutely false.
Oh, so this is before the video came. Liar. I think we found out why they accuse you of being a liar. So this was filmed, like, posted February 15th. So before the video came out and went viral, and he's there like, oh, you're going to hear that I was disrespectful. It's not true. I don't know, man. The video doesn't look good. The video looks like you're being incredibly difficult.
There have been times where I've been overzealous, but always in the best interest of my client. I like practicing law more than anything in the world. And that's what I tell everybody that I come across. I love.
You can see her eyes tearing up. The women, they just they're emotional creatures, you know. It's in the eyes. You can see it in the eyes.
My children, I love basketball, and I love the courtroom. And the thing about the courtroom is I'm actually good at that probably more than most people. And I don't know how long I'll do on this video, but I'll never forget the first time I ever entered into a courtroom, the first time I ever saw a jury trial. It was some of the many greats of Oklahoma County that have come out of the district attorney's office. And man, if you haven't seen a jury trial from the beginning to the end, you're missing out. You're missing out. And that's where I learned my trial skills, and that's where I realized I've got to do this. I've got to be in the courtroom. And I don't know, I'm not a huge baseball fan, but I like baseball. But it's that movie where the pitcher says, clear the mechanism. That's exactly how a courtroom is for me. I don't hear anything. I don't see anything but what's in front of me.
They're not saying it, just yapping and 13-minute video about getting thrown out of the courtroom, and it's literally just yapping about nothing.
Of course, the jury, of course, opposing counsels and other counsels, and of course the judge. But it's been an amazing pleasure to serve the Oklahoma City metro area, Piedmont, I pretty much been to every county, because that's another thing about me is I'm not scared. And when I talk to people and I tell them, hey Rob, you're not scared to go into that courtroom, you're not scared to go up against so-and-so. I've never been scared. And the reason why is, well, one, God's always with me, but two, I tell people that when your immediate family, your mother, your siblings, you don't have the support in being Rob from your own family, there's nobody that can say anything, no tongue that can cross you, that can ever make you feel the way that feels. And so at the end of the day, I'm always gonna have a smile on my face. I'm always gonna leave the courtroom. And but I'm not gonna say I don't get heated. But see, I've never been heated more so than any other attorney in Oklahoma that I've seen, that I've had the pleasure of seeing in my time of being an attorney. And so with that, I'll say that if you've ever been crossways with me, I apologize. If it was as Robin, I apologize. And if it was as Rob, my sincerest apologies. But I think that it's now time to understand that it takes two to tango, that we can always be kind, that sometimes when people don't see eye to eye, there's another way to get there. And I think that I have done my best to try to do that. But it's come to the point where even when I am falling on the sword, even when I am going the extra mile to get something done, there still becomes a moving of the goalposts. It's just, nope, we're not going to do it because that's the way you want to do it. And those are the microaggressions that cause the turmoil, the adversarial negative reputations and connotations for people with Esquire behind their name. And at this point, I have decided in my legal career that I'm going to close up Hopkins Law and Associates. It's been a great pleasure to serve all of you. I'm here to field any and all questions that you might have. There's been a recent post on Facebook, and I've gotten numerous messages. My family has fielded numerous messages, numerous phone calls with regards to whether or not those allegations are true. And I'll stand behind it all day long. I'd take the stand. I'd be under oath that in no way, shape, or form have I ever preyed on a client of mine, much less a female client in a victim predicament with regards to domestic violence.
Whoa. Okay, bombshell. Okay. It finally just got, so it wasn't just getting thrown out and spurring out the judge. There's allegations that she was being inappropriate with a female client. I believe the allegations. Hey man, listen, man. When women speak, I listen. I hashtag believe women. Okay, bucko. Okay, Rob. Let me tell you something, Rob. I believe women, especially when there's an LGBTQ involved.
Ron Durbin, there's a reason why you lost your law license.
Yeah, just to be clear, I believe cis women. Just so there's no confusion. Hashtag I believe cis women.
And to be honest with you, sir, I was always your biggest proponent. I've never met you, not one day in my life, but I had always said that there must be more to his story than what we're hearing. But sir, to make the allegations that you have made against me, to say things that you have said against me without once picking up the phone, my number is 405-215-9647. You can call or text me any day, sir. But
doesn't really scream innocent when you close down your law firm in the same message as you're saying that you didn't do anything wrong.
Alleged felonies that you believe that I have committed, the alleged victims that have contacted you that you've connected with counsel, preposterous, sir.
Multiple alleged felonies.
I can name every single pro bono client that I've taken this year. I probably have had more pro bono hours in the year of 2025 than many counsels in this area, in this state. And the reason why is I am a product of a domestic violence household. I have sat on domestic.
Oh, is the allegation that he was like lying about taking pro bono clients or taking pro bono clients, but not actually working on their cases? That rings true, because if there's one thing I've learned about my time associating with social justice warrior types, they're all about.
Anonymous sent $3 prank call this freak on stream. They said their number.
Well, the number is right here on
Chuck Steak sent $3 personally. And I think I speak for everyone here. If I were a woman, I would not be able to resist Rob's advances.
Yeah, I got to know if the curtain matches the drapes. But they closed the law firm. Thank you for the donos, guys. Shit, what was I saying? I was saying something. Oh yeah. SJW, they love to be seen as virtuous, but they don't actually like to work. So taking on like pro bono clients, but not actually working on the cases and just bragging about all your pro bono work, that's the type of thing that an SJW type would do.
violence boards, and I believe in the change that needs to come for domestic violence victims. And I am always going to be part of the Me Too movement. And at the end of the day, there needs to be more focus on domestic violence as what it does generationally. The statistics show that if you are part of a domestic violence household, that it doesn't just affect you, but on to come for 5 generations.
Republic. I knew you as Robin, and you were a fucking beast. Don't give up. Be that fire. Be that beast. Now as Rob, you got this. 49. Laugh reacts. How can you say you don't acknowledge being trans when that is all you talk about? You lost your professionalism in court when instead of addressing the court, making your argument and addressing the court, you turned to opposing counsel and started ranting to him. Then when the judge rightfully told you to stand down, you tried to play the victim by playing the trans card. I'm not sure what is going on. I knew you as Robin and know you as Rob, and what I know is you are honest, hardworking, courageous. Your life story in church was inspiring. Yeah, made in the image of God, she did say. We loved you as Robin and love you as Rob, etc., etc. Okay. We're almost at the end of the show here, but Rob Hopkins, Me Too allegations. It's all just going to be these. There are no credible reports. Transgender attorney, courtroom arrest, firm closure, allegations of misconduct. Some sources allege he abandoned his clients and engaged in unprofessional conduct. There's a URL here. Former clients allege Rob Hopkins billed for work he did not do, abandoned active cases, and closed his firm without notice. Lawyers, man. Civil rights attorney was jailed in Ada, Oklahoma for contempt of court after supposedly quoting a Pontotoc County bailiff who had that morning told him to get his rear end to the courthouse. His client, a domestic violence victim sheltering in another state under a protective order, did not appear. The attorney spent part of that morning arranging child care. He was released later the same day. Mother retained Hopkins to represent her in a family law case involving her child's medical coverage and custody. She signed a retainer agreement setting a total fee of $3,000 with $1,500 due upfront and the remainder in monthly installments. She paid $1,800 in total before stopping payments when she says it became clear that no meaningful legal work was being performed on her case. Dude, my lawyers would open an email for $1,800. She is asked to remain anonymous because her custody matter is still active and does not want her participation in this investigation used against her in ongoing proceedings. The Oklahoma Post has verified her account through text message records, blah, blah, blah. Her central complaint involves a motion for contempt. Her former spouse had stopped maintaining medical insurance for their child and stopped paying medical bills as required. Hopkins told her the motion had been drafted and that his staff was handling delivery to the court. Text messages show her texting Hopkins to report that the contempt motion was not showing on the docket. She wrote that the situation was getting urgent and asked him to check with the court. She told him she hated calling because she knew he took on a lot of cases. She got a thank you in reply, nothing else. 2 weeks passed. On December 24th in the morning, she discovered through her own monitoring of the court docket that her former spouse and his attorney had filed a new motion to modify custody. By the way, they named the spouse's attorney, which is like, you could start to triangulate her docs if you really gave a shit. I don't, but I'm just saying she wanted to be anonymous. I don't think they really needed to say the husband's attorney's name. She texted Hopkins immediately. His written response, reviewed in full by this publication, arrived in 4 separate messages sent within minutes of each other. Yes, I've been waiting for them to file and let Kevin know to serve me. It's the better move. Now he's blaming the medical neglect on you. Hopkins had been deliberately sitting and waiting for Kevin Taylor to file a new motion against his own client. He had been in communication with Taylor about the motion before it was filed. He had told her none of this. She did not tell him to stop pursuing the contempt motion. Yeah, so this is like legal malpractice. He's like taking the strategy into his own hands without even consulting his client. Can't do that. Anyway. She learned he was closing his firm through a Facebook post. She contacted him to confirm. He confirmed it. Kevin was awesome. He discovered new opposing. All right. Christine Rice signed a retainer. Hopkins never filed an entry of appearance in her case. Okay, so basically allegations that he's a shitty lawyer is what it is. It's not sex stuff. Okay, this goes on, but I'm beyond my interest in this issue. Transgender adolescents have worse mental health after reassignment, study shows. This was published today on The Noticer. Adolescents who claim to be transgender have significantly worse mental health after being subjected to medical gender reassignment, a large Finnish study has found. The study, published in a medical journal on April 4th, found a significantly higher incidence of mental disorders after so-called medical gender reassignment, which includes the use of irreversible and dangerous genital surgery, hormones, and puberty blockers. Well. Yeah, so somebody should have told him not to hire a transgender lawyer. All right, you guys, that is going to be the show for today. Thank you for watching. I will be doing a gaming stream tonight. I'll be back tomorrow morning with another cope, and the progress report returns on Wednesday with special guest Woman Propaganda and somebody else. I'm not sure who yet. Maybe. We'll see. All right, you guys. Have a good day. Enjoy your day. I will catch you on the flip side. Peace out.